Hey guys, and welcome to the Man Tower. We make EDH deck decks. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Today's deck is a Hans Eriksson deck. Hans is a 1/4, with whenever he attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield tapped and attacking defending player or a planeswalker they control. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. When you put a creature card on the battlefield this way, fights Hans Eriksson. So, we're going to have a lot of big creatures you can get on the battlefield with Hans, ways to protect Hans so that he doesn't die, and ways to get creatures on top of our library. The total price of this deck is $35.34, and this is according to TCG Player, and does not include the price of basic lands. Before we start the video, please consider checking out our TCG Player affiliate link. If you use it, it helps us continue to make more videos. Now, let's get right into the deck. First off, we have Ramp. And since Hans is getting creatures onto the battlefield, we're going to have a lot of creature ramp. But also, we're going to make sure that Hans doesn't kill these creatures. Arboreal Grazer. Reach. When it enters the battlefield, you put a land card from your hand on the battlefield tapped. Firehaven Elf. When it enters the battlefield, you search library basic land card and put it in the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. Wood Elves. When it enters the battlefield, you search library forest card and put that card in the battlefield and shuffle your library. Now Firehaven Elf and Wood Elves will die to Hans, but will still get the land on the battlefield. Sakura Tribe Elder. Sacrifice it, search your library for basic land card, put that card in the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Sakura Tribe Elder will die to Hans too. We can sacrifice it before it dies. Omen of the Hunt. Flash. When it enters the battlefield, you search library basic land card, put it in the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. And you can pay 3, sacrifice it to scry 2. Great part of this is scrying, because then we can get creatures on the top of our library for Hans to put on the battlefield. Ranging Raptors. Enrage. When it's dealt damage, search your library basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. So if it comes in and fights Hans, we'll already get 1 land card. Leafkin Druid. It taps a green, but if you control 4 more creatures, you get 2 green instead. Savage Metmaw. Flying. When it attacks, you get 6 mana, and until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Seer's Lantern. It taps a colorless, or you can pay 2, tap it to scry 1. Once again, scrying is going to be really helpful. Rana. Heir to Keld. When it attacks, you get 2 mana in your mana pool, and also taps for 1 mana. Rana. Heart of Keld. As long as your turn, as first strike, you can look at the top card of your library any time. You can play lands from the top of your library. If you pay 6, it gets +X/+X till end of turn, or X number of lands you control. This one's great because you get to see what the top of your library is, so you can see if it's a creature for Hans, and if it's a land, then you can play it. Grand Warlord Rada. Haste. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green. Till end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. This is going to be really useful because we're going to be attacking with a lot of creatures. Then we have some cards to make sure we have creatures on top of our library. Brutalizer Exarch. When it is battlefield, you choose 1. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, shuffle your library and put that card on top of it, or put target non-creature permanent on the bottom of its owner's library. Now, for 6 mana, this is kind of expensive, but we're going to get any creature card from our deck on top of our library, and then we can attack with Hans and get it onto the battlefield. So it's basically getting any creature card from our library onto the battlefield. Wanvali Beast Tracker. It's a slightly worse version of that. When it is battlefield, you search your library for a creature card with Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, or Trample, reveal it and shuffle your library and put that card on top. Crystal Ball. You pay 1, tap it to scry 2. Once again, scrying is always useful to make sure you get creatures on top. Reclaim. Put target card from your graveyard on top of your library. So, if one of our best creatures dies, we can just use this and get it back on top and attack with Hans. And Huatuo is just basically a repeatable version of that. You can tap him, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library, but only do that during your turn before attackers are declared. And Darksteel Pendant is indestructible. You can pay 1, tap it, scry 1. Then Call of the Wild, which is basically another version of our commander. You can pay 4, reveal the top card of your library. It's a creature card, put it into play, otherwise put it into your graveyard. Then we have some cards that can help Hans so that he doesn't die. Treefolk Umbra. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 and assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. And it has totem armor. So we're giving Hans a higher toughness, so he'll be less likely to die. And if he does die, it'll destroy the enchantment rather than Hans. Serpent Skin. You can play it anytime you can play an instant. Enchanted creature is +1/+1, and you can pay 1 to regenerate enchanted creature. This is great because it's a repeatable effect. Carapace. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2. You can sacrifice Carapace to regenerate enchanted creature. So it's going to be similar to Treefolk Umbra. Regeneration. Enchanted creature. And if you pay a green, you regenerate enchanted creature. So once again, it's a repeatable effect, so it's going to be really useful. Broken Fall. Return Broken Fall to its owner's hand and regenerate target creature. This one's going to be really nice because we can regenerate creatures other than Hans with it, whereas all the other ones, we're going to have an enchanted creature. Slagworm Armor. Equip creature is +0/+6 and has equip for 3. So with this one, we'll give Hans a total toughness of 10, and no creature in our deck should be able to kill him. Ring of Zathrid. You pay 2, regenerate equip creature, and at the beginning of upkeep, you put a 1/1 counter on him if it's black. Well, he's not going to be black, but still, regenerating the creature is going to be really nice. And then, you just have the equip for 1. Inara, Wolvid Familiar. As long as your turn, commanders you control have indestructible. And this is going to be really nice, because with all the other ones, we're either going to have to pay mana multiple times, or sacrifice the enchantment, where this one, as long as it's on the battlefield, he's just going to have indestructible. Then we have some creatures that we can get off of the top of our library with Hans. Living Hive, Trample, when it deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens on the battlefield. This is going to be really useful if we can get it out early with Hans, because then we can keep swinging with it, and people won't have big blockers, and we can get a lot of 1/1s. Color of the Pack has Trample and Myriad. Champion Veronis, you can exert him as he attacks. When you do, put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. Now if we get off the top of our library with Hans, that trigger won't happen the first time we do it, but if we attack the next turn, we'll get more creatures. Dawnglade Regent. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. As long as you're the Monarch, permanents you control have hexproof, so it'll help protect our creatures. Enrace Forerunners. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. When it enters the battlefield, other creature you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample on a turn. So, if we attack with enough creatures, and get this off the top of our library, we can do a lot of damage out of nowhere. Giant Adaphage, Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of it. Hamletback Goliath. Whenever the creature enters the battlefield, you can put X 1/1 counters on him, or X that creature's power. This is going to be really useful since we're going to be playing a lot of big creatures. Moldencraft Monstrosity. Trample. When it dies, exile it, and return 2 creature cards at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. Needletooth Raptor. Enrage. When it's dealt damage, deals 5 damage to our creature opponent controls. So, if we get it in with Hans, Hans will deal damage to it, and it'll do 5 damage to a creature. Titan Thrax. Trample. And cycling for 2. When you cycle it, you put a trample counter on target creature control. And it's 11/11. So we can do a lot of damage out of nowhere. In Tree Shaker Chimera, all creatures able to block it do so. When it dies, you draw 3 cards. This one especially, if we get off the top of our library with Hans, will help us deal a lot of damage with our other creatures. Then we have some cards that either benefit our creatures, or benefit off of having creatures. Archetype of Endurance. Creatures you control have hexproof. Creatures opponent control lose hexproof but can't have or gain hexproof. This one is going to be great because if we can get it off the top of our library with Hans really early in the game, our creatures will be really protected and it'll be really hard to kill them. Varzi Avimea. Creatures you control have haste. You can sacrifice it. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end turn. This is going to be really good, especially if we play Hans after we play this. Then Hans can attack right away. Otherwise, if we play any other creatures from our hand, it's going to help us attack with them really quickly. Gruul Warchant. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 and have menace. In Search of Greatness, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can cast a permanent spell from your hand with a converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you scry one. So we're either going to cheat cards from our hand into play, but if we don't, we scry one, which will be nice anyway, because we want to scry with Hans. See that written? Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You can put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest into your graveyard. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, put 2 creature cards on the battlefield instead of 1. Then Relentless Assault. Untap all creatures that attack this return. After this main phase, there's additional combat phase, followed by additional main phase. This one's going to be great because we can get 2 triggers off of Hans, get even more creatures onto the battlefield attacking. Then we have some card advantage. Soul of the Harvest, Trample. Whenever a non-token creature in this battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. So when you're getting creatures on the battlefield to Hans, you get to draw cards. Lifecrafter's Bestiary. At the beginning of your upkeep, you scry one. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you can pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Garrick's Sword, Trample. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You can cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card. So, it'll help us cast more cards. And we can see what the top card of our library is, and see if it's worth attacking with Hans. Colossal Majesty. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you get to draw a card. Furious Rise is similar, because at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile top card of your library, and you can play that card until you exile another card, Furious Rise. Dragon Mage. Flying. When he deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. This one's going to be really nice because if we get it off the top of our library with Hans, we'll be drawing a whole new hand, and people probably won't be able to kill him. Hunter's Instinct. Choose target creature control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw them many cards. Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature control, and you gain 4 life for each creature control with power 4 or greater. Then Snake Umbra. Chain creature. Chain a creature is +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature does damage to an opponent, you get to draw a card. So we can place this on one of our bigger creatures, or we can place it on Hans because it has totem armor. And Sixth Sense is kind of the same thing. Chain a creature. Chain a creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Then we have some removal. Artisan's Sorrow. Destroy target artifact or enchantment and scry 2. So once again, scrying is going to be really good in the deck. Reclamation Sage. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Telgelad Justice. Destroy target artifact and you get to scry 2. Kogla, the Titan Ape. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. When it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. If you pay 2, turn target human you control to his hand. Kogla gains indestructible on turn. This is going to be really nice, get it off the top of our library with Hans, because it's going to fight a creature. And even though you won't get the attack trigger, it'll still be really nice. Inferno Titan. If you pay 1, he gets +1/+0 ton a turn. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. Magmatic Force. At the beginning of each upkeep, deals 3 damage to any target, so you'll be doing a lot of damage with him. Warstorm Surge. When a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So we're going to be getting a lot of creatures with Hans, and we'll be able to kill a lot of blockers that our opponents may have. Kazul's Fury. As it costs to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, and it deals damage equal to the sacrifice's creature's power to any target. And then the backside is also land, that enters the battlefield tapped, and taps for red. Chain Reaction. Deals X damage to each creature, or X number of creatures on the battlefield. And Colony Ambush. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Once again, the back of the card is a land, and is battlefield tapped, taps are green. Lastly, we have lands. Gruul Guildgate, and his battlefield tapped or taps are Gruul colors. Kazandu Refuge is the same thing, but you gain a life when it comes in. And Rugged Highlands is the same thing as that. And Temple Abandoned, same thing as Gruul Guildgate, but when it enters the battlefield, you scry one. Gruul Turf. Enters the battlefield tapped. When enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Taps are both the Gruul colors. Command Tower. Taps are one mana color. Spine Rock Knoll. Hideaway. And it taps are red. If you pay red to tap it, you can play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn. Which, we have a lot of big creatures, we should be able to do that. Mousewort Bridge. Similar. Hideaway, and it taps are green. If you pay green and tap it, you can play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Once again, it shouldn't be any problem to have creatures with power 10 or greater. Zhalfir and Void. When it enters the battlefield, you scry 1, taps are colorless. Rogue's Passage. Taps are colorless. You can pay 4, tap it, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So, we can make Hans blockable, or some of our other creatures. Tyrite Sanctum. Taps are colorless. Or, you could pay 2, tap it, target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types, and you put a 1/1 counter on it. Or, you can pay 4, tap it, sacrifice it, put an indestructible counter on target god. So if you have extra mana, we can make Hans indestructible, which is going to be really useful. Kessig Wolfrun. Taps are colorless. You pay X and a red and a green. Tap it, target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample on turn. And Skarg, the Rage Pit. Taps are colorless. You pay red and a green. Tap it, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains trample on turn. Then we have 11 forests and 11 mountains. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.